Joe Fortenbaugh here for OddsShark, where it's time to talk about the AFC Championship game. No storylines leading into this one, except for the most talked about ankle in the history of the universe. More on that in a little bit. So here we go. Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Arrowhead Stadium. The number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs taking on the number 3 seed Cincinnati Bengals. Let's start with the weather. It's going to be a cold one. Looks to be around 15 degrees at kickoff, 11% chance of snow, winds around 10 mile an hour. So while cold, it doesn't look like inclement weather is going to play much of a factor in this one. Injuries. Well, you know where we begin. Patrick Mahomes' ankle. More on that in our analysis later when we talk about the side. We just want to give you the updates on what's happening here. Running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, wide receiver Mecole Hardman. We haven't seen them play for Kansas City in a while. Both are trying to get back for this game, but as of the time of us shooting this, still a lot of uncertainty. Same can be said about the Cincinnati offensive line. We know La'el Collins is out for the season. When it comes to Alex Kappa and Jonah Williams, both battling leg injuries, they missed practice earlier in the week. Again, likely to come down to a game time decision or possibly ruled out before we even get there. So keep an eye on all of that. Let's talk about the market and how it's moved. This has been a fascinating line to study, all right? One book here in Las Vegas, the Westgate Superbook, opened Kansas City as a 3-point favorite, immediately took Cincinnati money and moved it to pick'em. And then we saw the number continue to move to Cincinnati all the way up to 2.5. And then we got to Wednesday, and the Zapruder film of Patrick Mahomes stepping on and off the dais to do his media interview, press conference, whatever. Oh, everyone, hey, I can't believe he's walking. I can't believe it. It's like, did we expect him to not show up with legs? He showed up. He walked gingerly. What were we expecting? Just the fact that he was walking, people going nuts. So the line starts trickling down. It goes down to Cincinnati -1.5, -1. Pick 'em to where it is now, Kansas City -1. So clearly the market really liked what they saw when Patrick Mahomes was moving around gingerly. Total open 47.5, still around 47.5 depending on the book. Not a lot of action there. So let's talk about the side. Playing Cincinnati on the money line. I'll take the point as well, but the money line is the play here. The Patrick Mahomes ankle is a big issue one way or another, all right? This is a team that over the last 5 years has ranked in the top 3 in the NFL in third down conversions every single season, all right? A huge part of that is Mahomes' mobility, okay? His ability to buy extra time for his receivers to get open down the field. If he can't move or move like that, that's gonna hurt them on third down, the most crucial of the downs. He ran for 358 yards and 4 touchdowns this year. He scrambles as well. If he's not scrambling and he's not eluding the pressure, they're not going to be able to move the ball with as much success. You're going to see more punting in this game. Slice it like this, okay? Good news for us as Bengals fans, Mahomes is hurt. That's the good news. He comes in and he's gimpy like he was in the second half of the Jacksonville game. I'm pretty confident in the Bengals winning the game in that scenario. They have beaten this team 3 times in a row, and that's with Mahomes healthy. Okay, now let's look at the other scenario, right? Mahomes is better than we expect. He comes in and he's able to play well. He's able to move well, I should say. Bengals have still beaten him 3 times in a row. We still have a really good team. Right? I'm not going to lean too much on the Bengals' history with them, but I am going to say I think that ankle brings them down enough. And while Kansas City's defense is okay, I don't think they're good enough to make up for a lackluster effort from Mahomes. If Jacksonville wasn't completely inept in that game against Chad Henne, dropping the interceptions, the turnovers in the second half, a better team beats the Chiefs. They're out of the playoffs. Keep that in mind. So we are going to play Cincinnati on the money line. I'll take the point as well. Total 47.5. I'll play the under here. Not a bet I love, but the breakdown is as follows. Again, I don't see Mahomes in Kansas City moving the ball up and down the field. They're an elite third down team. I don't think they will be elite on third down if he is unable to move. I also think Kansas City is going to run the ball a little bit more in this game to take some of that pressure off of Mahomes. Now on Cincinnati's side, this is one of the concerns, down all those starting offensive linemen. We thought that was going to be a problem against Buffalo. It wasn't. So now everyone's forgotten about it. Don't forget about it. One of the reasons it wasn't a problem against Buffalo is that A, the Bills were out down Von Miller, and B, the snow makes it difficult for pass rushers to get after the opposing quarterback. I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but there was a great breakdown on ESPN this week where when you're playing in snow, pressures and sacks drop off because of the footing issues, right? It's going to be cold in Kansas City, but we're not expecting snow on the field, so keep that in mind. I think Cincinnati's going to have a harder time moving the ball up and down the field. These two played each other in the regular season, 51 total points. It's more than 47.5, but that's with a healthy Mahomes and a healthy Bengals offensive line. They played each other in the playoffs last year, 51 total points. Again, healthy Bengals offensive line, healthy Mahomes angle, And that required overtime to get there. So we're going to go under 47.5. Now, let's take a look at some player props for this game. I've got 5 for you. Jamar Chase over 83.5 receiving yards. Isaiah Pacheco, Chiefs running back, under 1.5 receptions, under 6.5 receiving yards. Hayden Hurst, Bengals tight end, over 3.5 receptions. And then Bengals running back Joe Mixon, under 3.5 receptions. For Chase over receiving yards, it's simple. Kansas City ranks 31st in the NFL, according to Football Outsiders DVOA metric, against #1 wide receivers. They stink against elite wide receivers. Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs, all put up over 100 yards against these guys. Chase put up 97 on him earlier this season. Isaiah Pacheco, under in receptions, under receiving yards. He's not a factor in the passing game. 14 total targets all season, 1 target against Jacksonville last week. And you've got Jerick McKinnon as your primary passing down running back, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire could be coming back. So we're going under 1.5 receptions, under 6.5 receiving yards for Isaiah Pacheco. Hayden Hurst, over 3.5 receptions. Kansas City's giving up an average of 4.2 receptions per game to opposing tight ends this season. Hurst had 2 receptions against this guy in the earlier meeting, against this team in the earlier meeting. So you may be saying to yourself, only 2 receptions. He only played 9 snaps. He got hurt. 2 receptions in 9 snaps? I think he's in for a big day. I like the price. And then finally, Joe Mixon under 3.5 receptions. He's had some big receiving games this season, and the Chiefs defense has struggled against opposing running backs. But 2 key factors here. Number 1, Samaje Perine, the backup running back, he runs more routes than Mixon does. They use him more in the passing game. He's also the better blocker. This is the key. He's the better blocker over Mixon. And with the offensive line banged up on the road at Arrowhead against that pressure, the Bengals are going to want Perine in the game more for protection than they are Mixon, so we're going to go under 3.5 receptions. If you're looking for a teaser option in this game, it's tough this week. We're limited, and there aren't a lot of good value plays here. The professionals will be teasing San Francisco from 2.5 up to 8.5. That's a good teaser leg right there. But I like Philadelphia in that game, so I'm not necessarily playing it. If you're looking for a same game teaser, the price right now is not conducive to that. If this gets to Cincinnati plus 1.5, 6-point teaser, you can move them up through 3, you can move them up through 6 and 7, get to 7.5, then you could play Cincinnati with San Francisco if you want. That'd be a good teaser. I'm not playing that one. If you're looking for a same gamer, again, you need Cincinnati to go to 1.5 so we can move it through 7, up to 7.5. And then I might look to the total here, 47.5, bump it up to 53.5 and play the under. Would love to have more teaser options for you, but the numbers just don't add up this week. I do, however, have a very juicy same game parlay for you. This is one I'm playing, 3 legs. It plays plus 510. So a $10 wager returns $51 in profit. 3 props, here we go. Joe Burrow over 17.5 rushing yards. Joe Mixon under 3.5 receptions. Jamar Chase over 83.5 receiving yards. Burrow ran for over 30 yards against the Bills last week. It's the playoffs. Quarterbacks tend to take off and run more often. And with that banged up offensive line, he's feeling pressure, get outside and take off. Mixon under 3.5 receptions. Again, Samaje Perine more involved in the passing game. He runs more routes. He's the better blocker with the banged up offensive line. The Bengals will need him in protection. And then Jamar Chase, over 82.5 receiving yards. We talked about it earlier. Kansas City, 31st in the NFL against opposing #1 wide receivers. Chase had 97 yards against them earlier this season. You've had guys like Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, Mike Evans, and Stephon Diggs all go for over 100 yards against this defense. So your same game parlay again. Joe Burrow over 17.5 rushing yards. Joe Mixon under 3.5 receptions. Jamar Chase over 83.5 receiving yards. Plus 510, that's how you do it. Thanks for watching. Our NFC preview is up on OddsShark as well. We got a lot of great UFC stuff coming up with John Anik, who's going to be partnering up with me for a Super Bowl preview in the very near future. Keep your eye out for that, and best of luck this weekend.